As Israel strikes back after the deadly attack by Hamas, the state of Texas is showing unequivocal support for the American ally. Ryan Chandler is joining us now with a closer look at the help that the Lone Star State is providing to Israel.
Well, Monica, that's right. State leaders have been providing tangible assistance to the state of Israel, a close U.S. ally, including some financial support to help them free up some cash for the conflict.
As Texans from and for Israel rallied outside the Capitol, lawmakers inside are using Texas's outsized global power to help out overseas.
House Resolution number 10 in support of the state of Israel.
Late last week, Texas bought $20 million in bonds from the Israeli government, helping them free up cash for the conflict. Texas taxpayers now hold $100 million of Israeli bonds.
I think it's the least that we as taxpayers can do.
State Controller Glenn Hager says it's a win-win.
It's a bond, it's a rate return, but it's one way we can provide immediate dollars infusion to the Israeli government.
Bonds, boycotts, and bans, all tightening the world's restrictions on Hamas resources. The governor prohibiting state agencies from purchasing goods from any country or organization with ties to Hamas, expanding on the long-standing ban on doing business with companies who boycott Israel.
We're going to be on extra cautious watch to make sure that we don't do business with anybody that we shouldn't be doing already.
And back in Washington, President Biden is asking Congress for billions of dollars in military assistance for Israel. One key player in that process is Texas Congressman Michael McCaul. He's a Republican who chairs the House Foreign Affairs Committee. And this week I asked him about the concerns that this conflict could escalate and what that could mean for American troops.
How concerned do we need to be today about this conflict boiling over into a regional war with Iran, with Hezbollah?
Very concerned. I've been talking to a lot of our Arab partners in the region, the Israeli ambassador, the administration. I know that the president visited and tried to get Israel to kind of slow down a little bit on their, march on the ground. I mean, they've taken out a lot of control, command and control operations by strikes, surgical strikes. But when this ground operation starts, it's going to be like going house to house like what we did in Iraq, and it's very, very dangerous. And our special operators are training them, but we have to be very careful how we carry or how they carry that out, because we don't want the narrative from Hamas all of a sudden taking over in the Middle East and then rising with Hezbollah turning its sights on Israel. That's the biggest fear, is escalation. So we want to make sure that the situation currently does not escalate. That's why we're taking some time to get the civilians, the Palestinian civilians, to the south of Gaza, and then get humanitarian aid to them as soon as possible through the Rafah Gate on the border of Egypt. And I've been working with the World Food Program on this to get to them the humanitarian assistance they need. We don't want to see 1 million people starving in Gaza. And that would blow back on Israel. And that would be the worst message that we could send. We also have 2,000 Marines in an expeditionary force in the Eastern Mediterranean as a show of strength and deterrence against Iran and Hezbollah as well. So am I concerned? Very concerned. I mean, to the point where I've been asked to start looking at an authorized use of military force that my committee is responsible for doing. Now, we don't want this, and I hope I never have to pass it out of my committee, but we have to be prepared for all contingencies.
So there's a real possibility we could see American troops on the ground in the Middle East because of it.
That's not my choice. I would not want to see that at all. I do want to give Israel everything it needs to defend herself, including, they need to replenish the Iron Dome. They need precision-guided weapons and more ammunition. And we can give them training and weapons. I prefer not to see any of our troops on the ground. However, if it escalates to out of control, that's always a contingency that we have to prepare for.
We're playing in all of these different areas of the world, countering so many threats. What strain does that put on our country and our Congress during these turbulent political times to try and support all of our allies and counter all of our adversaries right now?
Well, you have 2, potentially 3 conflicts that could be taking place we haven't really seen anything like this, I don't think, since my dad's war, World War II. Largest invasion in Europe since World War II, biggest threats of the Pacific, and now an all-out war in the Middle East. And so this is not a time to be vacating the speaker's chair. It's a time for governing. It's a time for adults in the room to stand up and start doing what the American people deserve and the work of the American people, and stop playing these partisan games. I think a lot of us are getting tired of it, and we realize how dangerous it is right now, and we need to get back to work.
The congressman spoke at length about the battle to choose a House Speaker, including his response to rumors that he might be considered as a candidate. You can see more from my interview with Congressman McCaul. We posted the complete conversation online. Just look for the link in this week's State of Texas story in the Texas Politics section of our website.
Conserving the wildlife and wild places that make Texas so special is something that unites us all.
A plan to spend more than $1 billion on Texas parks is on the ballot. How the proposition is getting support from a famous Texan to help sway voters.